There are certain foods we grew up with. We ate them when we were young, when we were busy, tired, or just didn't feel like cooking. They were comforting, familiar, and easy. But one day, after turning 60, you start to realize that your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. You might not notice it at first. You might still be eating those same foods every day, thinking, it's fine, I've always eaten this. But the truth is, some of the most familiar foods could be quietly damaging your health without you even realizing it. Today, I want to share with you 7 everyday foods that seem harmless, maybe even helpful, but over time, they can take a serious toll on your heart, your joints, your memory, and your overall longevity. Unless we start paying closer attention. I used to be just like you. There was a time when I ate things I thought were light, easy to digest, or convenient for older folks. But after a routine checkup, my doctor told me I should take a closer look at what I was eating, because my blood work and blood pressure had started creeping past healthy levels. At first, I didn't believe it. But after doing some research, I realized something important. It's not always about how much we eat. Sometimes, it's about eating the wrong things. There was a time when I lived alone. My children and grandchildren had moved away for work, and the house became quiet. Just a few soft footsteps, the occasional hum of the fridge, and a kitchen that didn't light up as often as it used to. During that time, I found myself reaching for quick, easy meals. Instant noodles, prepackaged porridge, or sometimes a can of fish over rice. It only took about 3 minutes to make a meal. No mess, no fuss, and hardly any dishes. But without realizing it, those convenient meals started to take a toll on my body. I began to feel thirsty more often. My face looked a little puffy in the mornings. My legs felt heavy by the afternoon, and my heart would race just from climbing a few steps. During a routine checkup, my doctor looked over my lab results and asked a simple question. Have you been eating salty foods lately? I said no. Then he asked more specifically, do you eat a lot of instant noodles, canned food, or ready-made meals? I nodded. That's when he gently explained, those foods aren't just convenient. They're loaded with sodium, often far more than what an adult, especially a senior, should be eating in a day. One packet of instant noodles, for example, can contain 1,500 to 1,800 milligrams of sodium, while the recommended daily limit for older adults is between 1,500 and 2,000 milligrams total. And it's not just the salt. These processed foods are packed with MSG, flavor enhancers, preservatives, artificial coloring, industrial oils, and saturated fats. When we're young, our bodies can handle some of these things. But after 60, our liver, kidneys, heart, and digestive system all begin to slow down. The ability to filter out toxins declines. And that's when these quick meals quietly become a burden on the body. Many older adults live with high blood pressure, kidney problems, fatty liver, or elevated cholesterol without knowing where it came from. But when you trace it back, the issue often isn't that we eat too much. It's that we've been eating the wrong things at the wrong time and too often. So I started making small changes. When I needed a quick meal, I'd boil the noodles separately and throw away the seasoning packet. Then add a few boiled vegetables, a little fish sauce, or a soft-boiled egg. With instant porridge, I'd water it down and stir in fresh veggies or bits of meat or fish for more nutrition without all the sodium. And little by little, I relearned how to make simple, honest meals. Boiled greens, steamed eggs, roasted sweet potatoes, plain rice porridge made in my rice cooker. They took a little more time, but in return, I started sleeping better, my legs felt less swollen, and my spirit felt lighter, too. I'm not claiming to live perfectly, but I've learned to listen to my body, to ask, am I eating this because it's truly good for me or just because it's fast? I've come to realize that every small decision we make today, even a simple meal, is a way of caring for our health tomorrow. And if you or someone you care about is caught up in a habit of eating quick and moving on, I hope you'll slow down, not to restrict yourself or make life harder, but to prepare one simple meal, just for yourself, made with care and love, because even that is healing. I grew up during a time when food was scarce. Back then, a hot bowl of plain white rice was something to treasure. A meal of steamed rice with a little boiled vegetable and some soy sauce was more than enough to feel satisfied. Even now, well into my 60s, I've held on to that habit. Toast or white bread in the morning, white rice for lunch and dinner. Sometimes I'll add in some noodles or vermicelli. These are simple, easy to prepare foods that feel light and familiar. And for a long time, I believed eating like this was healthy. No oils, no fried food. So how could it be harmful? But then I started noticing changes in my body. I often felt sleepy after meals. I woke up feeling groggy, sluggish, not want to get out of bed. Eventually, I went in for a checkup, and my doctor told me that my blood sugar levels were fluctuating. I wasn't diabetic, but I was considered pre-diabetic. When I explained my diet, the doctor smiled gently and asked, "Do you eat white bread and white rice often?" That question was the wake-up call I didn't expect. You see, white rice, white bread, and dried noodles are all made from refined carbohydrates. During processing, the outer bran and germ, which contain fiber, B vitamins, and minerals, are stripped away. What's left is the starchy part that gets digested quickly, causing blood sugar to spike fast and crash just as quickly. The result? You feel tired, lightheaded, and crave more food, starting a silent cycle that repeats day after day. Eating too many refined carbs over time also increases the risk of insulin resistance, visceral fat buildup, and long-term issues like heart disease and bone weakening. These foods, which seem so light, actually cause blood sugar roller coasters, especially in older adults whose digestion and hormone systems are no longer as efficient as they once were. I remember asking my doctor, "Do I have to give up rice altogether?" His answer was reassuring. "Not at all, just change how you eat it." So I started blending my white rice with brown rice, red rice, or steel-cut oats. In the mornings, I replaced white toast with whole grain bread or steamed sweet potatoes. These small shifts made a big difference. I stayed full longer, had fewer sugar cravings, and didn't feel so drowsy after meals. I also learned to slow down when eating, chew more thoroughly, and balance my meals with protein like eggs, fish, or tofu, and fiber like steamed greens or light vegetable soups. With those three elements, carbs, protein, and fiber, my blood sugar stayed more stable, my body felt lighter, and I could think more clearly throughout the day. I'm not saying you need to give up white rice or noodles completely. They're a part of our memories, our culture. But I do believe that if we choose better carbs and eat more mindfully, we can still enjoy the flavors we love without sacrificing our health. After 60, eating isn't just about feeling full. It's about nourishing the body. And from something as simple as a grain of rice, we can begin to rebuild our strength. Gently, patiently, and with love. There was a time when I would drink an ice-cold soda every day after lunch. It felt refreshing, a quick pick-me-up that helped me feel more awake. Some days, I'd switch it up with a bottled orange juice, thinking, well, at least it's fruit. I even started keeping packs of boxed juices in the fridge, telling myself I was being healthier by having a glass in the morning instead of coffee. But little by little, I started to notice changes. My mouth felt dry in the mornings. I was waking up more often at night to use the bathroom. My skin looked dull and my lower belly kept growing, even though I wasn't eating much. At first, I chalked it up to age. But during a routine blood test, my doctor told me that my blood sugar was higher than normal, and so were my triglyceride levels. When I mentioned that I drank fruit juice every day, he looked at me gently and asked, "Is it the bottled kind?" That's when it hit me. Store-bought fruit juice and soda can be equally harmful if we're not paying attention. Most bottled juices are loaded with sugar. One 11-ounce bottle of orange juice can contain 30 to 35 grams of sugar. That's about 7 to 8 teaspoons. And it's not natural sugar from fresh fruit. It's usually refined sugar or high fructose corn syrup, which has been linked to fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, belly fat, and metabolic disorders. What's worse is that fruit juice looks healthy. We all know soda isn't great for us, but juice comes with the image of being natural and full of vitamins. So we drink it daily, thinking we're doing something good for our bodies. But in reality, there's zero fiber and more sugar than a slice of cake. Without fiber, all that sugar enters your bloodstream quickly, causing blood sugar spikes and crashes. That leaves you feeling tired, dizzy, and craving more food shortly after. I used to think, a little now and then won't hurt. But if a little turns into every single day for years, the consequences add up, and it's no longer little. Once I understood the truth, I made a change. I cut out soda and boxed juice completely. Now, when I'm thirsty, I drink filtered water, fresh coconut water, or a simple glass of warm lemon water with a touch of honey. If I crave something sweet, I eat a slice of watermelon, a few apple wedges, or fresh orange segments. The sweetness is natural, the fiber is intact, and most importantly, I don't feel tired or sluggish afterward. Within a month of this change, I started sleeping better. No more running to the bathroom at night. My belly went down noticeably, and I felt emotionally more balanced. My doctor said my blood sugar and triglyceride levels had improved significantly. But what meant the most to me was this feeling that I had taken back control of my body, simply by making better everyday choices. So, if you're drinking bottled fruit juice every day because you think it's good for you, I hope you'll take a closer look. Read the label, look at the sugar content, and ask yourself, does my body deserve something better than this? I still remember how things used to be when I was working. Mornings were rushed. I'd grab a slice of white bread with a few slices of processed pork roll or quickly fry up a sausage. Sometimes, I'd pick up packaged hot dogs or cold cuts from the grocery store. They were convenient, kept well in the fridge, and made for a quick meal. After I retired, I figured life should be simple, including what I ate. So I always kept a few easy options on hand. Deli meats, sausages, bacon. They were flavorful, quick, and didn't take much effort. But as I got older, I started noticing things. My stomach would feel bloated. I felt tired after eating. Sometimes I had a burning sensation in my chest or a strange tightness on the left side. Nothing serious, but still concerning. I thought it was just aging, or maybe the weather. It wasn't until a routine checkup that my doctor handed me my blood work and gently asked, "Do you eat a lot of processed meats?" I paused. He pointed to my cholesterol, liver enzymes, and triglycerides, all elevated. That's when he explained the hidden dangers in those foods I'd been eating for years without a second thought. Processed meats like hot dogs, sausages, bacon, deli ham, and prepackaged pork rolls go through heavy processing. They're cured with salt, smoked, and treated with preservatives, artificial coloring, and nitrates. These additives not only enhance flavor and shelf life, but they've been strongly linked to colorectal cancer, heart disease, and metabolic issues. Some global studies have found that just 2 slices of bacon or 1 sausage a day, roughly 1.8 ounces, 50 grams, of processed meat, can increase the risk of colon cancer by 18%. And that doesn't include the high sodium and saturated fat content, which silently raise blood pressure, stress the liver, and strain the heart, especially in older adults. A lot of people say, it's just a little pork roll, it won't hurt. But if you're eating these kind of meats every day, or even a few times a week, for years, it builds up, and the cost to your health may not be visible right away. But it's there. I used to be that person. But once I understood the risks, I began making changes. I slowly cut down on the processed meats in my fridge, keeping just a small amount on hand for emergencies. Instead, I began cooking my own lean meats, steaming fresh fish, roasting skinless chicken breasts, or even making my own fish patties from scratch without additives. It took a little more effort, but once I knew exactly what I was putting into my body, I felt lighter, not just physically, but emotionally too. I wasn't just eating, I was taking care of myself. I also shifted my mindset. I stopped choosing food just because it was convenient. I started choosing it because it was clean and nourishing. And the results? After a few weeks of reducing processed meat, my liver enzyme levels and blood fats began to normalize. My doctor said I had likely avoided several serious health issues just by making that one change in time. So if you or someone you love are still starting the day with sausages or stocking the fridge with cold cuts every week, I hope you'll pause for a moment, read the label, look at the ingredients, and ask yourself, is there something better I could be putting in my body today? Because after 60, the most valuable thing we have isn't time, it's our health and the ability to live each moment fully. And that kind of health often starts with the smallest things, like the slice of meat you choose to put on your plate. I used to think I was eating pretty carefully. I stayed away from fatty meats, cut back on red meat, and didn't touch sugary sodas. Each morning, I'd spread a little margarine on my toast and drink a glass of low-sugar milk. Some days, I'd fry an egg using leftover oil from the night before. I hated to waste it. It all seemed reasonable, affordable, quick, and not too greasy. But over time, I started noticing changes. My stomach felt bloated after meals. I was more tired than usual. My skin looked dull and my cholesterol went up, and I didn't understand why. Then one day during a routine checkup, my doctor asked, "Do you use margarine or reuse cooking oil often?" I looked surprised and said, "Yes, I do." "Why?" He smiled and said, "Those are two of the biggest silent threats to heart and liver health, especially as we age." That's when I really started doing my research. Margarine is made from vegetable oil, but it's processed through something called hydrogenation, turning liquid oil into a semi-solid spread. That process creates trans fats, and those have been clearly linked to heart disease by major health organizations. Trans fats raise your bad cholesterol, LDL, and lower the good kind, HDL, making your arteries stiff and increasing your risk for heart attack and stroke. Then there's the issue of reusing cooking oil, something many of us do to save money. But each time oil is reheated to high temperatures, especially for frying, it breaks down and forms harmful substances like aldehydes, acrolein, and free radicals. These toxins damage liver cells, raise liver enzymes, and quietly trigger inflammation throughout the body. I remember once using leftover oil from frying fish to make crispy fritters the next day. They smelled amazing, the texture was perfect, and everyone said they tasted great. But no one realized that delicious smell came from oxidized fats, the same process that creates toxins in the food we eat. After that, I made a full change. I stopped using margarine and switched to extra virgin olive oil or a small amount of real butter. Use sparingly. When I fried something, I used oil only once, even if it felt wasteful. I started cooking more meals by steaming, boiling, or baking. Nothing fancy, just simple, clean food that didn't weigh me down. Within a few months, my skin looked healthier, my stomach felt lighter, and the bloating disappeared. Even my doctor noticed my liver function improved, and my cholesterol numbers started heading in the right direction. And you know what? Good health doesn't always come from big changes. It often starts with the smallest choices. A spoonful of margarine, a reused pan of oil, a quiet decision to do things differently. If you're still using margarine every day or saving oil to reuse later, I encourage you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, does my body deserve better than this? Because at this stage in life, we don't just eat to survive. We eat to stay strong, to stay clear-minded, to live well, and enjoy every day we still have. I remember one time when my grandchild came to visit, bringing a big bag of fast food, fried chicken, French fries, and a few crispy egg rolls. The smell was incredible, golden crispy, sizzling hot, and just looking at it made my mouth water. I took a bite, then another, and just like always, before I knew it, the plate was empty. I told myself, it's just a treat, once in a while won't hurt. But that night, my stomach felt bloated, my body was overheated, and I couldn't sleep at all. It felt like a brick in my gut. That wasn't the first time I had that kind of reaction after eating fried foods. But like many older adults, I brushed it off. It's just part of getting older. I thought, my digestion isn't what it used to be. It wasn't until a doctor told me that I had early signs of fatty liver and elevated liver enzymes that I really took a step back to examine my habits. And that's when I realized fried food had quietly made its way into my diet more than I had noticed. Fried foods like egg rolls, fried fish, fried chicken, even donuts, are appealing for a reason. They're crunchy, savory, and they make you feel full for hours. But behind that delicious crunch are some serious health risks, especially after the age of 60. First, fried foods are cooked at very high temperatures, which changes the structure of the oil. That process creates saturated fats and oxidized compounds that damage liver cells and trigger chronic inflammation, the hidden foundation behind conditions like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even certain types of cancer. Second, as we age, digestive enzymes weaken, and organs like the liver and gallbladder don't produce as much bile to break down fats. That means greasy foods like fried fish or chicken are much harder to digest. They lead to bloating, indigestion, acid reflux, and even insomnia. Many older folks suffer from high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, or blood sugar issues without realizing that fried food might be a major culprit. Third, most fried meals come paired with refined carbs and too much salt, like white bread, fries, or salty dipping sauces. These combinations not only lead to weight gain, but they also spike blood sugar and increase insulin resistance, especially dangerous for anyone at risk for or currently living with diabetes. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. Fried food tastes good. But after 60, choosing what to eat isn't just about flavor. It's about protecting your future. I started making changes. I switched to steaming and baking instead of frying. When I did crave something crispy, I use an air fryer, or I let myself enjoy a small portion just once or twice a month. I learned to make steamed fish cakes, silken tofu with ginger and foil-baked fish. They were light on the stomach, flavorful, and much easier on my liver. After a few months, I noticed a real difference. My digestion felt smoother. I slept better. And surprisingly, I didn't even crave fried food like I used to. It was like my body had quietly learned what felt good and what didn't. So if fried food has become a weekly habit for you, I'm not telling you to give it up forever. I'm just asking you to slow down, not to live in restriction, but to treat your body the way you treat a dear old friend, someone who's been by your side for decades. Take care of that friend, because they're the only one who's been with you every single day of your life. I used to believe that drinking milk every day was good for me, especially after turning 60. And to be fair, milk is a valuable source of nutrition. But what I didn't realize at the time was that not all milk is good for older adults. Back then, I started every morning with a warm glass of sweetened condensed milk, stirred into hot water. It was rich, creamy, and comforting. Sometimes, I'd stock my fridge with ready-to-drink milk boxes, something quick to grab when I felt a little hungry or bored. My children were happy about it. They thought their parent drinking milk regularly meant I was taking care of my health. But very few people realize that those sweet, creamy glasses might actually be doing more harm than good. I began noticing subtle changes in my body. My knees ached more in the morning. My blood sugar was all over the place. And somehow, even though I wasn't overeating, my belly fat started creeping up. Then one day, during a routine checkup, my doctor looked over my results and asked, "What kind of milk do you drink every day?" I answered without hesitation, "Sweetened condensed milk or box milk, just whatever's easy." He shook his head gently and explained. That's when I finally understood. Not all milk is created equal, especially as we age. Sweetened condensed milk is packed with refined sugar, with virtually no fiber to slow down absorption. That means your blood sugar spikes quickly after drinking it, and just as quickly crashes, leaving you tired, hungry again, even lightheaded. Then there are boxed or flavored milks and creamers, often marketed as convenient and healthy, but they're usually loaded with corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, trans fats, and chemical flavorings, all of which put stress on the liver, heart, and metabolism. What's even more concerning is that many people drink these kinds of milk daily, thinking they're boosting calcium and supporting their bones. But if the milk is the wrong kind, your body not only struggles to absorb the nutrients, it also has to work harder to deal with all the added sugars and unhealthy fats. Once I understood that, I made some changes. I stopped drinking sweetened condensed milk entirely, only using a tiny bit once in a while for baking. I switched to unsweetened fresh milk, or better yet, started making my own plant-based milk, soy milk, almond milk, walnut milk. They're lighter, easier to digest, and better suited for older digestion. When I wanted something creamy in my morning coffee, I use a splash of whole milk or homemade coconut milk, natural, without additives, and didn't leave me feeling heavy or sluggish afterward. After just a few weeks, I noticed real changes. My stomach felt lighter. My blood sugar was more stable. I slept more soundly, and my skin even looked brighter. But the biggest change wasn't just in the numbers on my lab report. It was a feeling of finally doing something good for my body, no longer clinging to sweet habits just because they were familiar, but choosing sweetness with awareness. So if you or someone you care about is still drinking sweetened condensed milk or boxed milk every day, thinking it's nutritious, I urge you to read the label, look at the ingredients, and ask yourself, is this what my body really needs or just what I've gotten used to? Because in the end, true health doesn't come from sweetness on the tongue. It comes from peace in your heart, restful sleep at night, and waking up each morning feeling light in your own body. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just someone who used to think, as long as I'm full, it's fine. But after changing the way I eat, I started sleeping better, feeling less achy, and honestly, I felt younger. No extreme diets, no strict rules, just small, thoughtful adjustments in the right places. Food isn't the enemy, but if we eat the wrong foods, especially at the wrong stage of life, even the most familiar meals can quietly weaken the body day by day. If you found today's video helpful, please hit the like button so it can reach more people who might need it. Comment below, which of these 7 foods have you been eating without realizing the risks? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every week, we share honest, easy-to-understand health advice that can truly make a difference. After 60, eating well isn't about living strictly, it's about living joyfully, staying strong, and enjoying more precious years with the ones we love.